Well, one of the first lessons out of Bootstrap curriculum is teaching students about the difference between categorical and quantitative variables. Why? Well, one of the reasons we need to get students to understand the difference is because it's a very important concept as we get going in our data analysis to know when I get ready to get a tool that I need to use to interpret my data, I need to know whether it was for a categorical variable or a quantitative variable, because certain tools are for categorical variables and other tools work better for quantitative. And so just a reminder of those, in Bootstrap, you could use the count function, which gives you this little table right here where you could do, like I did, a count here on the species, or a bar chart of the species, or a pie chart. Those are the three that work really well with categorical variables. Not so great for quantitative variables. For example, with pounds, if you were to do a bar chart, you would have tons of little bars and it just wouldn't really tell you a whole lot. So it's better off if you're doing quantitative variables that you might want to do the histogram or box plot, scatter plot if you're doing two variables. And so students knowing right up front whether this variable that I'm looking at is categorical or quantitative gets them right away thinking, what display will I be needing to focus on to be able to get my interpretation of my question as I'm doing my research. And of course, the mean, median, mode, things like that will only come about when I'm talking quantitative variable. So how do you tell if it's categorical or quantitative? Just remember that you're going to ask these kinds of questions. If it's categorical, you ask, what kind? What kind is it? If it's a species, what kind of animal is it? Quantitative, how much? How much does this animal weigh? Okay. And what are you doing with the data? If it's categorical, you're classifying. If it's quantitative, you're measuring. Okay. How tall? How many pounds? How much does it weigh? Okay. And then with categorical variables, arithmetic would not make sense. Quantitative variables, arithmetic does make sense. Finding the average weight of pounds in the shelter makes sense. Finding the average species at the shelter does not make sense. So just going to our animals data set real quick. I just highlighted here, in green, you'll see in green all of our categorical variables, and in blue you'll see the quantitative. Of course, those things that you can do arithmetic with, and the others are not. Now, of course, the green, the fixed variable, we're going to talk later about that. That's a special one, but it is also, in this case, categorical, but special Boolean, which we'll get to when we get to data types later. Okay, good quick review. Hopefully that helps.